Hello guys, it's Paula and I am here today to do a flip through of the sewing journal. Now this journal, let me look here and I can tell you the copyright, is 1972. Yeah, it is definitely from the 70s. When you start seeing the pictures inside, you'll see what I mean. Okay, so this book is spoken for, but I thought you guys would still want to see how it's going to turn out, or how it did turn out. Sometimes you just say the wrong thing. These are the pages that I didn't use in the book, and they're in order. And they have some great 70s pictures and sewing instructions and so forth. Okay, so let's start off with the beginning here. Of course, you know what it looks like on the outside. So there is a charm dangle here. Has scissors and needle and ruler. Let's see what else. Button. So I thought that would look cute. I didn't hang it on the outside or on anything. I just kind of hooked it here, and the new owner can do what she'd like with that. Okay, so now let's start over here on this pocket. Okay, you can see that this book has been very loved. I cleaned it up as best I could, and it's in really pretty good condition. Okay, so we have a giant pocket here. All the pockets and so forth are fabrics that I took pictures of, and they're 70s fabrics. And so I couldn't give up my original fabric, but I did make copies of it, and that's nice. So this is an envelope inside here with a journaling card inside, which looks like a little mom or grandma with the little girl. Now this is from, it's actually been written on, and I can't see what the postmark says, 1974. So I just noticed that it still has the price tag on it. I wish they wouldn't write on them. Do you know what I'm saying? This was a $4 one, it looks like. But I thought it was really a neat postcard. So, put that off of there. All right. I don't know what all it says. It's talking about a box and varnishing, and yeah, so it's May 1974. And that's inside the envelope. Inside this pocket. Okay, and now this is an original needle holder. It's golden eye needles with threader, rust proof. Now, not everything is in here. It says it has 100 needles. Well, obviously, a whole lot of them's been used. There's the needle threader, and looks like there's 3 needles left there, and it looks like all of them are left here. And you can see that they're gold on the top. But this is definitely a vintage little folder. Okay. It's not in perfect condition, but I thought it definitely was in a good enough condition that we could put it in the book. All right, so here right in the front, I did a small journal, because I wanted to use this 70s fabric that I have. I just have a small piece of this fabric, and I managed to make several copies, but I stitched this little binding strip here on the front and back. Same paper or fabric, you might say. Put a little pocket here was a sewing machine fabric that I had. And this is a card that I made a long time ago. And I took a picture of it and I thought, that's cute. I'll just use that too. I kept a picture of it so I could make it again if I wanted to. And the spine of this little journal is muslin. Okay, then here we have just all kinds of tea stain papers. You name it. I don't know how many's in there, but it's quite a few. Okay, and then here's the back. This is where the book starts right here. It is, my hands look horrible. Believe it or not, I've washed them. I'm sorry for that. This is where it says 1972. And it's the Complete Family Sewing Book. Now, I did take, that's the introduction. Look at these cool 70s. See the bell bottoms and the hats that they wore. I remember those hats, and everything was like a rainbow. And it just goes on and on. I'm not going to tell you everything about what's in the book as far as that goes, but I left the first section in each one. So you can go back and do whatever you want by adding the others back in if you would like. So cute. This is 70s wallpaper right here. Not this, but this is 70s wallpaper on the outside and on the back. Look at that. What a match, huh? I thought that turned out cute. Now, right here in this little pocket, which is part of the fabric, and down here is part of the fabric, which I'll show you in a minute, I made a little mini. A little mini. Why do I always say that? Mini book, and slid it in this pocket. Now I'm putting a doily in here because I just think it would look cute in that pocket. And yeah, so it's been cleaned and the whole thing. Here's some more of the big flower. Okay, and then I made a side tuck in the pocket here. I did a lot of stitching in the book. And randomly throughout the book is tea stain paper. Different types. And here's the blueprint to fashion. Which you can see just has all kinds of things. This is a cardstock that I had that has sewing on it. So I had some craft and sewing type fabric, and that's what I decided to use. It says it's made with love. So what I did is I took 2 different pieces of cardstock from the little sewing kit, crafting kit actually. This was the best one. And I zigzagged and made pockets. See here, and this is a yarn. And then we've got made with love. And then inside we have some journaling paper. It's a digital. I just printed a digital out. And some of it has tea stains, some of it has digitals. I think the most of them is digitals. And then I stitched it and made it a pocket right here. This is a little picture of a little old lady I found, I don't know, somewhere. Anytime I would see something sewing related, I would save it. I added some vintage eyelet on here. I had some of this kind of mauve color, and I had cream and white, and I chose to do this. I got inspiration from Tracy Fox on how she did the Simplicity ladies and made a tag. So what I did is used a Butterick pattern, and this is a Simplicity woman. This is a Butterick pattern that you're seeing here. I just didn't have one as old as I wanted, so I used this one. Added a pin, a safety pin with a couple vintage buttons. No, that one's not vintage. This one is vintage, the one on the top. And then just put part of the pattern on here and part of the inside instructions. Put the pattern number right here. And this Simplicity girl is from 1961. And then we've got this little pair of scissors in a couple places. And on the back you can journal. And it says, this is part of the pattern right here. It says 8 pieces, Butterick, 5488, size 10. I stitched around it kind of in a messy fashion. And yeah, so it's going in this pocket above Grandma. She got that little rosy red nose. I used to have a machine just like this in my house for a long time. Looky, here's the bell bottoms and the vest. Do you remember that? And that fringe purse. She's lacking the moccasins. I used to wear the moccasins. Here's some more tea stain paper. The basic materials is what this section is about. And here is, this was fabric I bought recently. And if you would know, because it's bought recently, is all crooked looking. Listen, I straightened it out the best I could. But it looks like it's on a slant. But it's because it's kind of a wavy fabric. So I just copied it too. It wasn't anything great. But it copied well. Here's a journaling page. She's got the pirate scarf on her head. I love looking at the old clothes. Here's that same fabric. You can see how it's kind of, it kind of slants in places, but I got a good piece off of here. It's a flip, so you can journal underneath. And then I added some old lace on there. Layout, cutting, and marking is what this next section's about. Then this is a 70s print also. And I added a tab on here that says, "So very happy." Document at the top and says "sew" on the tab. And I don't know what she's got going on there, but I don't remember that from the 70s, but I know it must be from there. This is the inside personality. And then here's another one of these craft papers with a pin cushion here at the bottom, and I stitched and made a pocket out of it as well. On this side we have buttons, and some of them are dimensional, and then tea stain paper inside. Okay, and then here she is. Sounds like she's teaching or looks like she's teaching something, but she has this jumper on with what appears to be a type of turtleneck. Here's some more tea stain paper. Secrets of shaping. So they're talking about shaping the fabric, and I don't know. I never was that great of a seamstress. I mean, I did sew, but this is a vintage quilt that is cut into a heart, and I stitched around the whole heart, and then I glued right here and right here onto this gray fabric that's been copied. And here is just a variety of things slapped on this tag to give you a little bit of crafty looking stuff. And I'm sticking it in the pocket. And then here we go. We've got this vintage chipboard sewing machine, and this is a journaling page. And I don't know what these three ladies are doing, but they're watching something. Look at all the different pockets. And the different, look at this collar and sleeve. Yeah, that's scary. Okay, now, right here we have a tall pocket without a top to it. And I just folded it and made it do what I wanted it to do. And put one of my quilt digitals. Now, it's not on cardstock, it's only on paper, so it's not as brilliant as it could be. But they did better in the book. They weren't, you know, when you fold the cardstock, it looks fine. It just makes it bulkier, and I wanted this not to be bulky. So I added a little heart here to this red envelope, and I made I think these are coin envelopes out of the same print. I love this print. Okay, and it was missing a flower on the end. It was like it went like this, and my husband went in and matched it and made it work. He did a pretty good job, didn't he? So on this side, I put grommets in the circles, and a little bit of string here to hold it shut. And inside, I bet we have another something fun. Oh, sewing machine journaling card. So very happy. And then you journal on the back. So there's a lot going on in this little book. Or this nice big sewing book, I guess I should say. Okay, so I'm going to put that back in here. I didn't want to glue that anywhere, so that's why I decided to put the envelope in. Necklines, sleeves, and pockets is the next section. Now you can see this is some vintage fabric. Look how it leans to one side. I pressed it, I did everything, and it still did that. It has my summer quilt digital in it, and this is 70s fabric. Now this is a applique here. It actually was crocheted on a doily. There were several of them, and I cut them apart and made them into flowers. Added a bow on a button, and I thought it was sweet. Okay, so this next section, oh, this has sewing stuff here. I think this is cute. Of course, we always have to have the zipper in there somewhere, right? This is buttonholes, tea stain paper, an open and shut story, it says. Here's another one of the craft papers cardstocks, and I added a sewing machine there. It's got tea stain paper inside. And on this back, I added a silhouette of a girl stitching. Let me hold it up so you can see it a little better. I just fussy cut her out. And I didn't have another spot to put her, so I put her right here. So I hope you guys think that looks all right. Make pretty things is what it says. And look at this house. It even looks 70s. I don't remember my house looking like that in the 70s. Now we're going into new fabrics and the newest techniques. So you're going to learn some new techniques that were available in the 70s. This is another vintage fabric, so it's from the 70s as well. I just cut it into a different shape. I made myself a template at the same time, and yeah, and then I just put notes on the top. Here's some 70s bell bottoms and butterfly and fringe, and those stockings are nuts, aren't they? I remember wearing those fishnet stockings. Here's some more tea stain paper. You can rearrange the tea stain paper how it works best for you. Fringe benefits, it says. So it's going to teach you how to do fringe, I'm assuming. Here is a bag that I just put a clock on it with a needle as one of the hands, and scissors and thimble and thread and button. And I said, so what? And did a button up here. I used some of Gail's digital in here because it has the old lace look. And I liked the way that looked. So I'm going to flip that over, which inside the back part of this is another sewing picture with a mother and two little girls. And I just did a sewing machine journaling tag and put a tab on the top so you would know it's there. And this is Sew for Him. So this is sewing for men. This is an envelope. It's a blue envelope, and it has kind of a glisten to it. And I've put a cross stitch and a pin and a thimble. And on the front, I added a picture I found in an old magazine. Here's another pin cushion. Look at those old scissors. I have a pair of those. That was my mom's. And so when I keep them and I use them. Here's some tea stain paper in this one, folded in half. And it's the Sewing for Him section. This is a story from the Ideals book of a grandma, or granny, or Grammy, or grandma, or Nana. You know, I added two little hearts here because I know her heart is full for this little girl, and she's just watching her grandma. On the other side is the little story, and it's a grandma's quilt is what the story's about. Thought it was perfect. And here is little clothes at little prices. Yeah, that's the next section. So this is children's. Now this is just a fabric that a copy of that fabric again. And I put it in here as a journaling, big journaling card. It says, so happy, with a heart and a sewing machine. Here they are. They're ready to go outdoors. They got the big hats on and the really corked light bottom shoes. Those are funny clothes. Okay, this is lingerie and swimwear, which is what they represent. Now, here is a green and khaki bag. These hook and eyes are from TGNY. They were in my mom's stash, or in her little sewing basket. And I used this very old picture of a sewing machine, an ironing board, and a bunch of different tools. Behind this picture of this woman stitching is quilt squares that are very old, and I'm sure as far back as the 70s. So inside this is some more Gale's Lace digital. And then I decorated the other side. I wanted a section that I could put some of the old vintage sewing things I have. So this is an original. My sister worked at TGNY when I was a little girl. She was like 16, I think, before she could work. And this is the front of that, this is the front of a worn out Simplicity book, or a pattern. And this is the number that came off this corner up here in pieces. And this is part of my mom's measuring tape, I think. No, this is not part of my mom's. My mom's like the original ones. But this needle, one needle, came out of my mom's stash. And the zipper was a zipper that my mom had used on something. And then when whoever outgrew it, ended up with the zipper. Now, I did put it on here upside down. I did that so it wouldn't snag things, okay? And this is an old vintage button here. All these buttons right here came out of my mom's button jar. And you could see she would never take the thread out of them until she used them. But this one, it fell out of this one. And right here tells you 1975 Simplicity Pattern Company. So we know it came from the 70s as well. And here is an interesting picture. Let's go over and see what that's all about. Here's another journaling sheet. Fix it, change it, cover it. Whatever. I guess that's when you're stitching, or no, it still looks like you're making it here. Just have to read about it, because I haven't had time. Here is another fabric that I found in my 70s stash of fabrics. I thought it was really cool and bright, and it did use a lot of ink. It says, I love handmade. And who doesn't? Now, here it says journal on the top, and I just added this measuring tape down the side. Here she is hand stitching, it looks like, or hemming. So the next section is the time, the place, the tools. Sounds interesting. And you guys, I had this very old, from the 70s, Simplicity magazine that was literally falling apart. And the date is not on the front. I'm sorry. But I know it was from the 70s. But because the 70s part of it was just like, had a little slit through it, and it was kind of crumbling too. So this is the cover of that Simplicity sewing book. So I put muslin on the end of a photo sleeve, and instead of using my fuse tool, I just stitched around the whole outside and trimmed off the excess. Now this is the biggest, widest thing in the book. That's why it's in the very back. And if you look on this side, you can see all kinds of goodies. My mom had that same pin cushion. And of course, the thimble looks very familiar too. Okay, and here is another big pocket in the back of the book. And I took this image, put some lace across the top, and stitched it into another book. Can't have enough paper, right? And here is the back of the book, which I think is pretty cool. Now, like I said, this is spoken for, but I wanted to make sure you guys could see how cool it turned out. And I was extremely pleased with the sewing book. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.